All right. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a good evening yesterday. Um, First of all, my name is 12 Gauge, and welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I hope that you find something that you are interested in that allows you to keep coming back. If you're a returning person, thank you for coming back and thank you for giving me the opportunity to continue to do research on different topics and to give you the opportunity of analytical thinking. I speak in a generalized term, so therefore, anything that I say here, it is just that general. So take what you can and leave the rest. We agree to disagree. Please be cordial and classy in the chat. And let's try to get along. Let's try to be different than the rest of the other channels in that regard. Rondi, hello. Having a couple days off is a wonderful thing, especially whenever you you work a lot and you have a lot of things going on. To have a day off is a wonderful thing. Today I want to talk about some photos that I was talking about the other day that I couldn't find. Well, I managed to download them and find them, and I wanted to come and talk about them because I had told you guys the other day that I had them and I just couldn't find them. So let's get going with that. I want to start with this photo right here. As you can see, this was one of the photos that was taken very early on in the crime investigation as evidence. But I want to give you a different spin on this. Maybe something that you haven't heard, or maybe you've been told a different thing. But I want to talk to you a little bit about how evidentiary picks and things of that nature they actually happen. As you can see, there's a Jack in the Box bag, and it has Xana's name on it. What I can tell you is this: is honestly, if any of this was evidence, it would have been tagged and bagged. And what I mean by that is, let's see, those little tags that have the numbers on them? They would have had those either alongside there, or this would have been in a manila folder with the contents of the bag and everything that went along with what they found in the bag. If they found any fingerprints, any kind of DNA swab later on that they may have found in here. The same thing with the cup. They would have dusted it for prints, see whose cup it was, who touched it. And they probably did that with the dishes as well. If it was any kind of compromising use of water. But many times I hear that this is where the DoorDash came from. This is where the DoorDash came from. This is from where the DoorDash came from. And I hate to break it to you, but this was not the bag where the DoorDash came from. Because if this was a DoorDash bag, I can almost promise you it wouldn't be laying out in plain sight, even if they're doing other investigations in the house. I can promise you that. Because especially if the DoorDash was so significant that it was part of the crime scene, this bag would have been evidence. This would have been tagged and bagged and had a chain of custody attached to it. Someone spent days talking about that bag. Well, what did they say? Are they saying anything like I'm saying, or are they saying the total opposite? Were they saying that that was indeed the DoorDash delivery? What did they say? Do you remember? Because honestly, anytime you go into a crime scene, you're not going to put all the evidence together like that because A, that would cross contaminate it. B, you would already compromise an investigation by placing evidence too close together like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about cross contamination. And even if you moved it with a pair of gloves, you already moved it from the original crime spot. So you possibly contaminated it with other things that are floating around in that house. So I hope that makes a little sense. Because I heard that a lot too. I heard that this bag was supposedly the DoorDash bag, and this was part of the drink, and this and that and the other, and that and putting this evidence up here on the counter, they knocked over the flour, and this, that, and the other. Anything is possible. Good morning. Thank goodness, don't get me started on the JLR sending someone to interview Jack in the Box employees that allegedly say it's Emma B with dark hair that picked up the order, only to then say, because it was BK and he came in and ordered double cheeseburgers a few times a week. Yeah, I can understand that. I remember that wholeheartedly. They never took the ladder or outside garbage. Yeah, they didn't. I wonder why. I wonder what was the purpose of leaving that there. Susan, welcome. I've never seen you in the chat before. Welcome to our chat. Any of y'all have any kind of opinion about what would make them leave the garbage outside the back door, or I don't know why I have these on, or why they would not take the ladder. Oh, good. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Well, welcome, welcome. Heather, do you have any opinion? Rhonda, do you have any opinion on what would cause them not to take the ladder? How about you, Susan? Any opinion? Because that is a hot topic, and it's always been a hot topic. They've had that ladder alongside the house, and it could have been or could not have been evidence. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have heard anything different, but it could or could not be evidence. So let's get back to this bag a little bit. What I'm saying, and this is all I'm saying, is whenever you enter a crime scene and you're looking for evidence, you do not move evidence from one room to the other. You do not move things that have potential evidentiary prints, DNA, anything to another room, especially on a kitchen counter with all that dirty cooking utensils and everything else. I mean, you're just asking for a contaminated specimen there. Heather says, I think it's literally didn't even dawn on them to check it out at all. Possibly. Maybe it just as an evidence. Possibly. As far as this bag, though, I believe that maybe this bag wasn't even the bag on the night of the DoorDash, because these kids didn't seem to be the cleanest, and I'm not throwing shade on them, but They didn't seem to clean us. They had stuff everywhere in the other pictures that we see. So they didn't appear to be the cleanest. Maybe this was from the night before or even the night before, because you're so busy running and gunning, you just don't have time to throw the trash. Who knows? But I can almost guarantee you that this is not from the night of the murders. Almost 100%. And what would it, I mean, those of you that read the PCA a lot, okay, and even discussed it with panels, do you remember if they specifically said it was a Jack in the Box bag, or did they say Xana ordered DoorDash from a restaurant? Can y'all answer that for me right quick? Because I don't feel like pulling that up and scanning through it. Xana's dad said she told him they were home around midnight. They were ordering pizza. Yeah, I mean, think of that a little bit too. Is there's no real reason the father would have to lie about something like that. So if they're ordering pizza around midnight and this DoorDash came about 4 o'clock, that's only 4 hours. I mean, would you say, hey, this pizza's nasty? Let me order something else. I mean, that's a possibility. I've gotten some food in the middle of the night and they think that most people are intoxicated. They're not going to notice that it's not cooked all the way through or whatever. And, or maybe they shared the pizza and maybe they were still hungry. Who knows? But can y'all answer that question for me? Was it specifically stated in the PCA that it was from Jack in the Box? In one chat, it was said Dad didn't say that. Her mom, Kara, said that. Okay. What do y'all think about that question right there? Do you believe? I don't think Xana ordered that food. The SW was for the residents, not her account. Okay. So possibly it could have been somebody else in the residence. That makes sense. That's a different road to go down for sure. Look for his interview. He did say that. Well, I remember hearing the interview as far as the pizza, but I don't remember specifically about the DoorDash. That's what I'm saying right now is I don't remember the DoorDash. But that's just something for you guys to chew on a little bit because I know it's been stated before and people have even gone to the Jack in the Box and all this other stuff. My question is this: how did they get so certain that it was from Jack in the Box? Yes, that he was eating pizza or home watching movies. You get what I'm saying? Is how did he get so certain that? How did individuals get so certain that it came from Jack in the Box? Is it because that's a Jack in the Box bag, so instantly people assume that this would be where it came from? Because there's a lot of fast food places in that area, Taco Bell, McDonald's, um, you know, places like that. Well, that's just something for you to chew on a little bit. Let me go to another couple of photos that I was telling you guys about the other day, and I couldn't find these. So, but I went ahead and found them. Look at this little bit of evidence here. You see an investigator here, you see an investigator here, and you see an investigator here. Look at this right here. What does this look like to you? Does that not look like a black hoodie to you? I think people just saw that bag and just started saying it was Jack in the Box. It was delivered by DoorDash that night. You're right. Yes, we're going to go over the red Mustang here in a little bit, but I want you to look at the picture that I just put up right now. Um, You see where the guy in the blue, this guy right here, is photographing this right here? This is a part of a hood. This looks like a hoodie that was just thrown there. Could it be left there from other people? Could it have been somebody ran by and dropped a hoodie? Of course. But I'm just wondering, could it have anything to do with the crime? What do y'all think, guys? Yes, it looks like clothing. Could it possibly be anything that was taken off at the crime scene? Okay. Maybe that's a Dickies onesie. Maybe that's why people think he wore the Dickies onesie. I remember that pic, and it could be a hoodie. Yeah. Well, let me get a little closer to that picture. There it is, a little closer. And look up here. Don't these look like gloves? This right here is not even on the back side of the house. This is on the slope heading. Here's Bethany's room right here. If you go straight ahead to Bethany's room, that's where this was found. It's found toward the front of the house. This is not found at the back where all the other evidence was found. Like the black jacket by the fire hydrant. I don't know. This one has a hoodie. That other one didn't seem to have a hoodie. It seemed to be like a very a very big pullover jacket of some sort. I thought this was so interesting. Like when I saw it, because I couldn't remember seeing this in the beginning. That would be a seriously dumb place to just discard something was worn by the suspect, of course. But as we're saying, he apparently wasn't the brightest criminal on the block. Yes, this would be. I'm going to show you the 1122 house here in a minute, especially because the inside of that would most certainly have somebody's at least touch DNA and hairs. You guys in chat, thank you for commenting on this stuff. It's awesome to get some feedback. Let me ask you a question. I was thinking last night. Um, do you think that if somebody wore pantyhose, okay, just 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 work with me here, okay? Would that pantyhose be enough to keep hairs from shedding? Would it be enough? Would it be tight knit enough to possibly keep skin fiber from shedding, especially if you have something over it? What do y'all think about that? So if he was wearing something of that sort, I've heard he could have been wearing a scuba suit, could have been wearing um, leggings. I don't know. He could have been wearing a lot of things, but would pantyhose keep stuff from shedding? I've never worn them, so I'm asking you ladies to give me some insight here. Okay. But I'm just saying, like underneath the clothing, not necessarily on top of it, but underneath. Would it be enough to keep hair and all the other stuff intact? So let's say if you're wearing double layers of pantyhose, and then you have some leggings on or something, sports leggings, and then you wear the Dickies suit. So there's three layers right there that you're having your stuff covered up, plus the socks, plus if you're wearing sneakers or boots, especially if you're clad all in black. This is definitely a black hoodie. Now, if this was a white hoodie, I'd be like, I didn't know. Somebody just dropped it along the way, or somebody discarded it, whatever. But look it up here where I'm about to point this right here. This looks like a glove or something that was just thrown down in a haste. You would throw this away if it had blood of the victims, but not your blood. Now, if you knew you didn't cut yourself and all it had was the victim's blood, you definitely just throw it right there because you'd think there's no way that there's, if you had a skull cap or you had a do rag or something on, you'd say there's no way that this would be on the hoodie. Even under the clothing, something like that movement that would have to be going on. And if one person fought back, I would think the pantyhose would be torn. I mean, I've torn them doing nothing. Yes, very, very good point. Very good point. I'm just asking because I was thinking about that. I was thinking, I wonder if pantyhose would stand up enough to keep everything from being shed, you know? I think that my touch DNA was inside of it, though. Very good point. So, give me some insight on these photos that I just showed you. Do you believe that possibly these were photos from the crime? Do you believe that this hoodie could have been from the crime? Because it looks like the leaves have fallen over it a little bit. It was supposedly cold that night. And do you believe that that could be possibly a glove towards the right hand side by those two trees? What do y'all think? I'm just saying that let me show you where this evidence was found. That way you can get a better understanding. Here's the house, okay? This evidence was found right here. Right here in this area. I can very well zoom in. Well, I would say maybe these two trees right here are the trees, maybe right here. If these are the trees, then look how somebody from this window could see somebody take this off. I know it was found in this area because I looked at the bigger picture when I screenshotted it. I just don't know if it was these two trees or if it was these two trees, but I know it was found in this area. Yeah, it could be, but really like to hear from others in that area if they had already been there or not prior to the crime. Yeah. Didn't Bethany say they saw a naked man? Yes. And where was that pic taken in the valley with the blue light taken at? The one that Swamp Rose had last night? I believe that was taken up on Queen Road at the very end. Yeah, it was said that BF saw someone running naked too. So that got me to thinking if you're stripping off your clothes right here, because supposedly, think about this a little bit. Supposedly, let me get right back to this. Supposedly, he came around this, tried to park in the driveway, and almost got stuck, backed out, and then headed back down the road. So, who's to say he didn't park right here and go through this area, up around, and then come back down and up here? For whatever reason, people are fixated on him parking back here and coming in through the tree line and back to the slider. I guess it depends on what theory you have as far as which way you enter the house. If you're one to think if you're one that thinks that he came through the tree line back through the slider, then he would have parked back here. That would have made a lot more sense. But if you think that he came through the front door, definitely he would have parked right here to be able to walk down, go to the front door. I mean, because think about this, all right? If he came through the front door, Bethany's room's right here. You can't tell me she wouldn't have heard somebody walking up the steps. And what if she heard that, went around the corner, peeked up the step, saw a man clad all in black, and even crept up the steps a little bit and watched from behind and saw him go up to the third floor? She may have had an eyewitness account more than Dylan, and the exculpatory evidence would have been the fact that she saw different things on this individual than Dylan saw. So if Dylan said he's clad all in black and Bethany said he's clad all in dark blue, that's exculpatory. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? My whole thing is, too, you are doing awesome in the chat. Thank you so much for your thoughts. You are doing awesome. I would say that he went to the front door and knew the code, but he didn't know the code. He would probably went to the back. And Susan says, I saw a picture. The lock mechanism on the sliding glass door was broken, completely out. And my question is this for you guys. If he went to the back door and parked up here, I mean, I don't know. But that stuff was found right here. So I don't know. I don't know if this is where she supposedly saw. Maybe she had the video of the individual taking the clothes off. Maybe it wasn't even a male. Maybe it was a female. Maybe that's the exculpatory. The exculpatory mainly, it just means that the individual seen something to themselves that is totally inconsistent with what the other witness saw. So it could have been as simple as he was wearing sneakers. The other one could have said he was wearing black boots. True. It was originally said that Bethany was the one yelling up there to be quiet, not DM. I never heard that, but I don't doubt that at all. There are pictures of BF at the park. What if it's true that BK was there and saw her there? Same, Susan. So many ways to look at this. They all fit in one way or the other. Very true. But my point in this is, if he parked up here, and once he got going at 4:20, whatever time he left, once he got going, he almost wiped out right here, because there's tire marks that are screeched right here going on to Queen Road. Maybe it was slippery, and maybe he parked closer down because this is a hell of an incline, especially if he went on the other side of the apartments and barely could make it up that incline on the other side. Maybe he realized that if I need to get out of there quickly and I'm hauling ass, I might not be able to brake and go right into these apartments down here. I mean, there's a lot of speculation and all that, but that would make a lot of sense, I would believe. What about them saying that the tripod was set up behind the house from 8 to 8? Wouldn't they have that gotten that by now? Yes, they would have. Yes, he does. I guess he's eating hamburgers in a hot tub or sleeping. That kid back his claim saying that it was totally made up. Okay. So yeah, the tripod doesn't exist. But you know how tight this road is, okay? And I've always said this with the DoorDash driver as well. If the DoorDash driver came to drop off food, pulled in, and 5 minutes later, BK supposedly came in right behind him, how would they have both gotten out of there without bumping into each other? Because the stop sign down there's another stop sign heading to Taylor. So it would take probably a couple minutes to deliver the food, about a minute and a half to back out, about another minute and a half to get to one of these stop signs, and bam, here comes BK. So you're telling me there's no way that the DoorDash driver and Brian met up along the way? I don't believe that one bit. Hey, Golf Inspector. I don't know if I believe a car was there or not. It seemed weird to come out and they say you lie. Usually liars double and triple down. What do you think, Goff? Do you think that there was a possibility that both of those vehicles would have been able to possibly intersect on Queen Road somewhere, or maybe on King on the other side by Taylor, in that short amount of time span that they've given us? Because that's the first thought I had whenever this whole thing was going down. I thought that DoorDash driver would have definitely had to see that, would have had to see Brian. He would have, or whatever car that was, he would have had to see that car coming up Queen Road, either exiting or him himself turning around and coming back down. He would have had to see him. Maybe not recognize them, but he would have seen a vehicle. And he would have known that he wasn't the only car on that road. Yes. According to the timeline of the PCA, they must have, but then the timeline is iffy to me, as you know. Yes. I agree with you. And I always thought that whenever this first came out, I thought, man, they would have had to bump into each other, especially how tight that road is. Especially in the PCA where it said Brian attempted to pull into the driveway and almost got stuck. Wouldn't that have been a hell of a thing if he would have got stuck? We wouldn't be talking about this right now because he would have, the way it described it to me, and this is how I took it, that he took it too close right here and ended up right here. So there's a little embankment right here. So as you're trying to go back uphill, you're spinning your tires. So it would have been hard as hell for him to get back up here and then make the wide turn. That's how I took that. Did y'all take that the same way, or did y'all read it a total different way? Considering almost every time that's noted in the PC is exact, except for the DoorDash and when DM woke up, it's hard to say. Now, if you watch the camcording from the accident in front of BK's apartment that morning, there looked to be a student with a small tripod recording. And wouldn't that have been interesting if that kid recording caught him leaving and coming back, and he left with certain clothes on and returned with different clothes on? Would any of y'all like to come up on panel and talk with me? You don't have to be on cam. You can just give me your insight. You're kind of an open panel. Heather, would you like to come up? That is strange that they're being recorded by a third party on that body cam footage in Pullman. They're really strange for real. Golf Inspector, would you like to come up? Any of y'all like to come up? Because I have some other stuff I'm going to show you. I'm not just going to stick to these two. But I just wanted to show you this outline of this house because it gives you a very definitive understanding of where the car could have parked up here or whether it parked further down. Because if he parked right here, okay, let's say he parked right here and he pulls out and he's in an adrenaline dump and he's going to leave this place. He wants to get out of here as quick as possible. Bam, he gets caught right here, backs up, and then hauls ass. Somebody would have heard that. Somebody would have heard that. I can't. I'm getting ready for planned dive later, but I'll chat as long as I can. Okay, no problem. Just giving you all the ability to come up here if you'd like. Okay, let's go to the other portion that I have. This is something that I came across with too, and I was talking about this the other day, and I want to read it. And I don't know how legit this is, but this was very early on, okay? It says, I have it on good authority. Cousin is a cop in a nearby town, but called in to help in Moscow when school started back up. Apparently, the investigation is looking directly at Sigma Chi for Ethan and Xana attended from 8 to 9 that night. He did not have an update on their timeline after they left 9 to 1:45, but did say it looked like the investigation is honing in on two suspects from the party that night, and an update should publicly name them by the end of the week. Well, we never got those names. Sigma has made their socials private and removed all info for Facebook going back a few years. They believe Ethan and Xana were the main targets, stemming from the argument that night. Downstairs survivors could hear two males rummaging through the room above them, figured it was an after party, locked the doors, and went to bed. When they discovered them in the morning, about 30 minutes before the 911 call, they called their friends at Sigma to come over, who in turn called the police. It's right across the street, and for whatever reason, they believed there was people from Sigma upstairs around 2:15 that night. Back door was left open, one dead in bed, the other blocking the room door with the body. Police just updated their FB to reiterate they're not looking into activities of that night, only murders, which to me suggests something went on. Fight, drugs, etc., and spilled into anger later that night and got them killed. Also, didn't want to release profile they created as it would cause undue fear in the community. What do y'all think about that? This was very early on. Very early on. This post was, I'll have to go look. But this was probably December, I would think. So that person that gave this information, there's a lot of information on here that is accurate. A lot of information that's accurate. But it makes you wonder, did somebody really spill the beans? I mean, I don't believe it was a frat that did this. I don't. But anything's possible. You know? For me, this is someone that's feeding G family with the same info. To be clear, fabricated info. A psycho on the family to shush them, get them to fall in line. Very true. Very true. Could be. Happy Sunday, Golf.
Hi, happy Sunday. How are ya?
Are you muted?
No, am I?
I can't seem to hear you. Because Ethan's sister-in-law said he was found in bed. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that are said, and it makes you wonder. And that's why I wanted to show some of this, because it's interesting to me. It's very interesting.
Can you hear me now?
Golf, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't seem to hear her.
Oh no.
Can y'all hear me? Oh, I know why I can't hear. Okay. I can't hear you because I didn't have my headphones on.
All right. Can you hear me now then?
Okay. Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. How are
I'm
you?
like, I can't hear you. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Having a good Sunday. You're bringing up interesting points like all these old posts from everywhere, and they're worth having a look at. I remember I did the same thing when Kopaka happened, and there was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of locals that posted about hearing gunshots and what they heard, and I believe that was on Reddit, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. And it's the same thing. Those things are almost gone now, or very, very hard to actually find. So
Yes, they
it's the
are.
same
Yes,
thing
they
with
are.
this, is like maybe a lot of locals initially had, the gumption to actually put something out. They were more brave. And then as time went on, people started to lock that down. So I think you're doing the right thing here looking at these old posts. Who knows?
Do you remember seeing that the first couple pictures that I put up there that looked like a hoodie on the side
Mm,
of the house?
no, I just joined the conversation a little while ago, so
Okay.
I must have missed that one.
Well, let me pull that up because I know that you had um a lot of insight on this. You see that?
Oh, yeah. Yep, yep.
So there was that one, and then this one is a lot closer. It's obviously a hoodie,
Yeah.
and to me, this looks like either gloves or some sort of trash bag or something of that sort.
Hmm.
And I
It's
don't
odd though that
remember.
it's under leaves, right? That's the
Yes.
only thing that's strange to me because um that seems to have maybe been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's not new, so to speak. I mean, why would you just I mean, you could put it down there and just throw leaves over it, but it looks sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Exactly. But yeah, I saw those the other day, and I wanted to talk about them, and I
Oh,
had left them
yeah, there's that
on
red
another
car.
drive. Yes.
That's the one we talked about last time, I think. This is that red car they were focused in on.
Yes, I wanted to talk about this red car because
Hmm.
this was on either Facebook or Reddit, I think, and it said there was a post earlier that has been taken down. One of the most interesting today. Someone posted a pic of what appeared to be FBI and forensics activity at a car on South Street, very close to the house. They reported driving near the scene and seeing four men in black suits and a couple people in bio suits. We zoomed into the pic and saw at least one man in black in a different car. We both thought it was FBI and forensic. There was a lot of people commenting, disagreeing, and then post was taken down. So this car, I remember um, they were focusing on this car because they identified that it had a lot of bleach in it. You remember that? That it had been cleaned with bleach.
I don't remember. I think somebody posted, but people post things, and I
Yes,
don't know if I remember it that well, to be quite honest with you, about the bleach part. But I think I've seen that float around, but how would they know? You know what I mean?
right,
Yeah. I just find it
right.
interesting that during this time this happened, right? But then I also, not to deter too much, somebody posted later on, and it could be anything, right? That this actually was previous to the 1122 King Road killing. So this
Yes,
happened like a couple of weeks before. I've seen posts about that too. So, it's all up in the air, to be honest, because why would they go in with hazmat suits like that if it wasn't important? Number one, right?
exactly. And look, they're literally taking it apart.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that they've taken out of the vehicle. Like they're definitely swabbing and doing kind of stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. People were saying that the car broke down and they were just working on it in those
Yeah.
suits.
No. No, but then I've heard a third theory. Obviously, there's so many of them out there, is that those were students from the university doing like a class in forensics or something like that. So I've heard different versions of this. I still
Hmm.
find it interesting, obviously, because it's
Of
very,
course.
very different, right?
But wouldn't you? I mean, if you were, you're in the middle of a murder investigation, I think that if they were going to do any kind of classroom stuff,
Hmm.
they wouldn't want to draw attention to their class. We just had a quadruple murder. Let's dress up in hazmat suits and stuff and go
Yeah,
outside and tear a car down. I
correct.
don't
Well,
know.
if it was before the murders, I would see, that would be not an issue. But yeah, after the murders, it's weird. I agree. But it
Hmm.
depends on when it was taken, what it was really. So it does look suspicious because we know what happened, obviously. So we have to, I take a step back when it comes to, I find it very interesting, obviously, but try to take a step back and see, could that possibly be, what people are saying, that it's a class, and it was taken before.
Right.
So
Is it that James Earl Leonard guy that drove this car? The one that supposedly beat up his wife and they called the cops on him, and a couple of Moscow cops responded to it, and
yeah.
he had sliced himself with a knife and all this, that, and the other. Do you remember that guy?
No, I don't. Like, I'm sure that happened, but no, I don't.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um, because they were trying to say that this was the rideshare driver.
Oh,
They were almost certain that this was the rideshare driver, and because in the at the grub truck, and I'm gonna show that picture. I guess I'll go ahead and show it now. But at the grub truck, you see these lights.
mm-hmm,
They were saying that this is a Mustang that
mm-hmm,
picked up Kaylee and Maddie.
mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of people had identified that this was a Mustang and it was a reddish color. Well, I don't know how they could see that, but some
Well,
people are
we know that
very good.
Olivia saw when they got home, so she knows from the footage that she got from the neighbors, I believe, what
Hmm.
car they came home in. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they have the car down, but also Olivia saw it. So at
Right.
least that's the way I read it, like when she talked about it, that she saw
Yes.
them, come home in the car, in the rideshare car.
So I thought that was very interesting,
Hmm.
that reflection off the window, because I had never noticed it, but I've heard tons of people talking about it. And I thought, what are they talking about? I didn't see no freaking reflection.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you slow it down and you see this.
Hmm.
So I would not believe this was an Elantra, though. I would believe that it would be closer to possibly
That
the
looks like an
Mustang.
older model car, yeah, to me too, but I'm not
Because the three
really.
lights is what they were focusing on.
Yeah.
The three lights. See, there would
Yeah.
be a light there, a light here, a light here, and then that
Yeah.
has the middle, and then the lights here.
Oh yeah, there are people out there that are really good at cars. They can spot
Yeah,
them by lights like that.
and this is the area where this car was, because you can see the basketball goal, you can see the trees.
Do we know exactly where that is? Have you ever
This
looked
is
into it?
a fr- um the fraternity, Sigma
Oh,
Sigma something. It's a different
Sigma Chi,
fraternity.
not Sigma Chi.
Um, God, I had it, but it just slipped my mind. But
Okay.
this is a different fraternity where this car was found. It was found right here in this parking lot. So I thought that was interesting
Well, then
because
that absolutely has nothing to do with the classes that I was talking about in that case, because
right,
they wouldn't be parked at, I mean, that's at WSU. I don't
right,
know if they have a criminology department at University of Idaho, and if they would set up outside Sigma Chi and do something like that. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. So let's look at that picture that I just showed you of the red car, and you can, well, let me get the other picture.
Yeah,
So
you
you
see
can see
the
the
bushes.
basketball goal. Here's the
Yeah,
bushes, and here's that big tree.
yeah.
So that's definitely where the car is. And
Now,
this is in Moscow where this car was found.
can you zoom in on that a little bit? I'm just curious on the people there. Yeah.
What part?
No, I'm just curious. Like, I'm looking at like cars and years and how old this could be. And I mean, if you look at the weather conditions, they sort of, the only thing I have a problem with is, it started snowing the day after.
Yeah,
And obviously, this doesn't have any snow, right?
right.
And I think it was pretty snowy after that day, for quite some time.
I think this car was found later in December, about the middle of December. I'll have to look. If any of
Yeah.
y'all in chat know exactly when this car was found, let us know. Um, so if it was found on a day where there wasn't any snow and they were investigating it, that makes a lot of sense there. But if it was a day or two after, I mean, then there's probably no way that that's legit.
Yeah.
Because, like you just said, golf, it was snowing, so
Yeah.
there's no snow there.
So, yeah, it's a little bit iffy to me, but I would keep it in the back of my mind for sure.
Yeah.
Just like I would keep, I don't know if you ever heard of the police report that suddenly disappeared. They found somebody had reported in one of those, it was on the Moscow Police Department's site for activity. I don't know if you have a picture of it, where somebody had reported blood in on the golf course in one of the uh, restrooms, and that was taken down. Have you seen
Okay.
that?
I don't remember the one on the golf course, but I remember the one in the laundromat where they reported there
Hmm.
was blood on like a little um pillar or something in the
Hmm.
laundromat. There was blood in there.
Yeah, I heard that one too, but I
Yeah.
I remember the one from the golf course as well, but that was taken down. Like, I
Yeah.
know for a fact, and I'm so silly. Some of these things I didn't take screenshots of, because you would think that they don't remove things like that.
Right. I thought the same thing, and I was kind of glad that. I mean, I've gone through different videos and different posts and everything, and I've screenshotted this stuff so I'd have it.
Hmm.
I've gone back and kind of looked for a lot of this stuff because I know it exists. I just have
Hmm.
to find it, and a lot of it is gone. A lot of it is gone.
Correct.
This is a speculation that I have in another one of my videos, but I thought it was interesting. It's from Inside Looking. Do you remember
Hmm.
when they were supposedly saying that Inside Looking was Brian, right?
Yeah.
And he would post on Reddit. And the speculation says killer parked behind the house, approached the property through the tree line, entered sliding door and left it open, committed murders and exited sliding door. One knife, according to coroner's statement. Time of the murder approximately 3:20 to 3:40 a.m. According to the car fleeing scene on camera on Highway 8, approximately 3:45. Vehicle left skid marks upon exit. Please see photos below for more information. What do you think about that, Golf?
What date was that?
It didn't have a date. It just said 16 days. So,
Yeah. Um, I remember that, and conceivably anybody taking a class in this and knew a little bit like about the area would know more. Meaning, I I don't know if it was Brian. I can't say that because that could be whatever.
Hmm.
But if it was
But there's a
Brian, I mean,
lot of there's a lot of information in that.
it,
It's crazy
yeah,
how.
but it makes sense. Like if you look at the house and the layout and how the person would have gone in, that's what makes sense, right? Why would
Yeah,
anybody go in
yes.
through the front door?
What do you think about the timeline? I know you and I have talked about that
Hmm.
very briefly before, but what was your thoughts exactly on the timeline? This one says 320 to 340, and we heard very early on that the crime happened between 3 and 4.
Yeah,
Remember that? What do
yeah,
you
and
think on that?
I think that's correct, more correct than what we know, because, and
Okay.
I always go back to where police originally, law enforcement got the timeline set from, obviously communication between the two phones between the roommates, and that's my only like. They even put that in the PCA, so that's a fact,
Okay.
a known fact, and I like
Yes.
facts,
Yeah.
um, and because that did not change. However, the timeline changed from 3 to 4 to now 4 to 425, right? But
Yes.
the phones never changed. I mean, they couldn't go back and recommunicate with each other. So that's always been something that's stuck out to me and why I'm having issues with the timeline to begin with. Because if you're
I've
using the
been having
same,
issues.
yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you're using the same criteria, right, you can't change that after the fact because the communication took place at a certain time between the two phones. And I could be barking up a wrong hill here, but why say that in if from law enforcement? Why state that
Hmm.
to begin with?
So I always wondered if the reason they changed the timeline is the like Susan says about the 345 vehicle going by the Exxon, like if that would be one of the purpose for them to change it because the car wouldn't have even been there yet,
Hmm.
It would have been going away. It would
Yeah,
have been leaving, but that car was heading toward the residence according to that picture. I
that's
don't know.
right.
It's a lot of this makes sense, that don't make sense. Well, this kind of makes sense, but no,
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
it's murky, to say the least, because of how they determined the timeline. I think, um, like how I'm having a very big issue with the surviving roommate cell phones. That's number
Hmm.
one. And then number two, in the beginning, obviously, if you know, why would you put out wrong timeline in the beginning? Why would law enforcement, what would make them do that? And I cannot come up with I don't, maybe you can because you study criminology. Would there be any
Hmm.
reason for them to put out a wrong timeline?
Well, what I've learned so far, as in the studies that I've been taking, is police do lie. I
Yeah,
mean, they do lie. They even put that in the book. Police do lie. So it's a tactic.
yeah,
It's not seen as popular by the public, obviously, but it is a tactic. It's almost like if we put out the wrong timeline, the killer's gonna get comfortable, and we're gonna have all these people speculating that this was the time when we really know it was from 4 to 4:15 or whatever. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to determine that what could
Sure,
have
but
caused that, but
do they not need the public's health? Like they were asking for the public's health, right?
yes,
Help
yes,
in this. And why put out something that's incorrect if you're asking people to look out for, like, what do you have as far as cameras, anything, what you could have
right.
seen. So putting out a
I'll
wrong,
never understand. I'll never understand what made them um, come forward and ask for the public's help, especially if they never showed us what we were supposed to be looking for, like what kind
hmm
of vehicle. It would have been a lot easier if they would have shown us the video that they had. It would have had, tinted windows, non-tinted windows. It would have had. We don't even know if the car that they were looking for had stock tires or it had aftermarket tires. Did
Mhm.
it have rims on it? Did it have, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's so many things that vehicles have on them that they don't come from the factory
Mhm.
with, you know? So that would have been very important, and I always thought that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just that timeline had always gotten me.
Yeah.
And because I mean, to be fair, Dana could have been deceased already at 412. Her
Yeah.
phone could have been on, and she could have dropped it. It could have been just replaying TikTok over and over and over until the phone died. Bethany and Dylan texting back and forth. What time did they start texting? Did they start texting at 3:30, or did they start texting at exactly 4:01?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I have a tornado watch. I'm in
okay.
Nashville and everything just got super, super dark. So if
Oh
I
my goodness.
disappear, um, we should probably close all the windows and doors.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
Seek, seek,
Um,
seek safety. I understand you need to drop down. We can do this again sometime, and
yeah,
be
yeah, sorry.
careful.
It
Be
just like all
careful.
of a sudden got like really, really dark.
It's
And
okay. Be careful. Let us know that you're all right. Okay.
okay, all right, will do.
Thank,
Thank
thank you
you.
for popping up. Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye. Susan, I saw that as well early on. Um, and this was on Reddit or 4chan, where they were talking about that the killers use their phones to call, that the killers used the phone, killer or killers used their phone to contact Jack D, and that they were trying to get him over there to frame him or possibly take him out as well to make it look like it was a murder suicide. I saw that at the very beginning, but I'm not quite certain how real that was, because it was on Reddit. I think that I read it. And anything could have happened with those cell phones. I mean, honestly, like you just said, um, she could have used her phone to call for food, saying it was Xana. And Heather says, anyone else notice how many times there's a wanted car and suspect in Moscow, and they sure do put up the images of the actual car? I have not, but it's interesting how come they didn't in this case. They stick them blurry photos. Yeah, I hope golf is safe because I mean a tornado is nothing to mess with. I was in Sulphur, Oklahoma, last weekend. Didn't realize they had a really bad storm system go through there at the end of April. And man, there was still a lot of damage done in that area. Houses tore up, a lot of things. So it's definitely tornado season. Golf, be safe. Let us know you're okay. And you said 2,200 water launchers in that area. How did they get fixated on the one? You know, you can still see going back on their page that they put up stills from footage when seeking identification. So that car, I did have a picture of the wrecked car, but it's kind of little and I can't blow it up. But this was the car that we were talking about the other night that was found in Eugene, Oregon. And it's very tore up and very, very dismantled. I can't imagine how seeing a car like that and then thinking, wow, this could be the car everybody's looking for. And then law enforcement I think the part that really makes people angry is whenever people are certain about things and then law enforcement kind of just says, no, that there's no way that could happen. We looked into that. Wouldn't you agree? Like you You just have a tip or something, and then they either take you serious or they like, well, we'll look into it. Also had this route right here. This route was the route that the 345 car supposedly took. Okay. Here's the Exxon down here off of Steiner. There's the McDonald's. Here's Highway 8. So what they were saying um in that narrative, and here's King Road up here. This is the route that the Elantra took after the murders. So if they're saying that that car was the murder car, it went up King Road onto Taylor, around to Walenta, down through Walenta to Paradise Drive, back up to Walenta, Lauder Avenue, Steiner to White Avenue, made a right on Troy Highway in a high rate of speed. So this is 7 minutes. So if the crime happened, if he got out of there at 4, what was it, 4:27 plus 7, 34. So 4:34. How did they capture that car at 3:45? I'm confused there. Maybe I'm thinking about the wrong car here. Can y'all help me out here? How did they get the 3:45 time frame? That's the car that was going to the crime house, right? To the 1122. So it's the other way, right? So that's the route, Paula, that's the route that was taken from Highway 8 to Steiner all the way to King Road. That's how I interpreted it as well. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense based on the mathematics of it all. I'd like to see some kind of mathematic um theory done on this, see if the math adds up. So 345, the car is supposedly at, or what I read was the car was speeding past the Exxon, turning on to Highway 8. So wouldn't that be leaving Moscow or would that be going toward Moscow? That's what I'm confused at. I only watched a little bit of it. I watched the part where the detective was talking about not backing up his notes and things of that nature. I didn't watch a lot of it because I had a lot of things going on at that time. I heard it was on White Avenue, cross highway onto Steiner. Okay, so that would have been going toward the house, right? Good thought, Heather. Why speed before the crime even happened so that your killer plan is interrupted or even totally blocked by being involved in a traffic stop for speeding? That's a great thought. What would make you do that? What would make you want to speed potentially to get pulled over again? Seeing they've already pulled your car over more than once, they would know, hey, look, there's that car we pulled over again. Let's run it. Let's see what this dude's doing up at this time of night. Why is he speeding? Because that's what that lady said. She said he was going at a high rate of speed. She didn't say he was going the speed limit. She said he was going at a high rate of speed and turned on an adjacent road and took off. Yes, Steiner then intersects with Highway 95. I think AT asked about the one place was because that would be the intersection. that if he went one way, it would go to 1122, turning the other way would go to the park. Oh, okay, gotcha. Especially if he dressed all in black. Or naked. What if he's already naked? He's not getting dressed until he gets to the house. Dressed in all in black with a K-bar and a mask in the car. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Yeah, I can't make sense of that at all. I mean, how could you explain that if you get pulled over and you're dressed all in black, or you're just dressed, you just have the lower half of you dressed and the top of you the top half of you haven't put on the hoodie or anything else, the mask or anything, and you just cruising around and it's 32 degrees outside. How are you going to explain that? And it's foggy, overcast, right? Who would be speeding on a road when it's you can barely see? It's didn't they say it's foggy and 32? I don't know about you, but I've never tried to speed in a foggy road, especially if I already have issues with my eyesight. What do y'all think about that? Do you believe he actually had issues with his eyesight up until this point, or do you think that it had gotten better? Because I heard that a lot during early on. The visual snow, the visual snow, the visual snow. If he already had Dickies on, no one would question it. Many people in the area wear coveralls. Very true. With a mask and a knife. That knife was probably wrapped in saran wrap, had a glove over it, put in a little safety deposit box with the seatbelt in the passenger seat. I'm not trying to be facetious, but I'm sure that knife and the sheath was highly wrapped up. He just somehow managed to, if it was him, somehow managed to just have one fatal mistake. It just makes no sense to do this if you have planned to go to a home and take lives. You're not out speeding with dark clothes, knife, and mask. That's too out there. And now we have to look at that windy app to see the clarity of the sky. I have done that, and it said it was very foggy. It was said 32 and foggy, I think. How about the IDs that were found at the parents? And then said they were connected to the house or the victims. I had heard that as well. And then later on, it said that none of them were connected. So I don't know. I don't know how true that was or how not true that was. But I did hear that there were some IDs found. Everyone says BK is always wearing surgical gloves. How did DNA get on the sheath? I have a video. Let me see if I can pull it up right quick, where I put on some gloves and I demonstrated how to put these gloves on and take them off. And this was at the very beginning. So let me see if I can find it right quick. I don't want a lot of dead air. Let me pause this while I'm looking for it and give y'all some music to listen to or something. Let's see. Give you something kind of. Okay, I couldn't find that, but if you've ever, let me kind of demonstrate as if I have gloves on right now. Let's say that, let's say I'm putting on a pair of gloves right here, okay? I have two hands, I gather the gloves out of the box, the first set. Put one down, grab the glove, slide it on, grab the other glove, slide it on, grab the other two, slide it on, grab the other one, slide it on. So therefore, I have two sets of gloves on. If I commit a crime, I'm going to cup the inside, roll it out, and then cup the top side, roll it out, roll it in a ball. None of it's exposed. Throw that away, cup it, roll it up, cup it, roll it up, throw it away. So therefore, you don't have any kind of contamination whatsoever. So that's how you take off some gloves that you don't want to contaminate any kind of DNA or blood or anything of that nature. So what do you think about that? And who knows? That's only two sets. That's only two sets of gloves. Let's say that there was more than, maybe he wore three sets and a big, maybe he wore like mechanic gloves over those gloves. Maybe he wore batting gloves, workout gloves, any other kind of gloves over those um, surgical gloves for protection, that you don't puncture them to have any kind of um, leakage or any kind of DNA or sweat or anything to be able to um, drop onto the surface. Right. And I mean, if you're very acclimated to wearing gloves, you understand that's how quick it goes. You cut, roll up, cut, roll down, put in, discard. Yeah, I mean, so if you think about it, that explains a lot of why there might not have been anything in the car as far as blood or DNA. I mean, he could have disclosed those gloves in a Ziploc bag, sealed the Ziploc bag, put the Ziploc bag in a trash bag, everything contained in the bag. What do you think about BK's neighbor saying he did a DNA geological test with one of the companies that provide that service? I think, or I believe, that if he did that, it was for testing the scenario, because he would have been wondering how easy it would be to get his DNA from one of those sites. You know, I think he really wasn't thinking along the lines of, this may or may not get me caught, but I want to see exactly how easy it is to get my DNA off these sites. And his sister saying she thinks he could have she have been mad and lost her job. Do you think the IgG illegally accesses? Yeah. I believe that it was all in the scope of um, investigation, but I believe that they rushed the investigation, and that they may or may not have taken the proper protocol to get it. And the fact that it only said, we're going to use this as a tip, don't use this in court, that tells you a lot right there. That tells you that, hey, we don't want to be associated with this. So if you're going to use it, make sure that you don't put our name on it, because we're going to destroy our notes. We're going to destroy all this stuff. Don't put us near it whatsoever. Too much damage in the timeline with two victims fighting back for it to be done by one person. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've done other videos that could challenge that theory as far as him being the only one or somebody else being the only one, because up until I saw those videos, I'd never seen anybody stabbed. I'd never heard of anybody being stabbed. So I wasn't ever certain how quick stabbing occurs. But in those videos and some of the information that I've also put on some of the other videos that I've done, it says you can strike 5 times per second. 5 times. So think about that. You have a knife in your hand and you're stabbing. One, two. I mean, I'm not doing it fast enough, but 3, 4, 5. That's 5 times per second. That's a lot. That's a lot of stabbings very quickly and very fast. You know, they say also that whenever you're stabbed, you don't realize you're stabbed until you're immobilized. Like your body goes into shock, your oxygen gets expelled. To say that, why didn't they scream? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? I can't imagine somebody thrusting a knife at me 5 times per second and thinking about anything other than getting this person off me. Another avenue that I thought about um, is if he wasn't involved, possibly he could have been the cleaner. And when I say cleaner, I'm not saying the cleaner of the blood or anything like that. He could have been a cleaner of evidence, meaning that he could have been the one that went in there and cleaned down the house where they could not get DNA, where they could not get fingerprints, and contaminate the crime scene where it's hard for them to really pinpoint who did it. But that's way out there too. But you know, I thought that early on. Him driving around waiting for whoever to do it and then go in there, clean up whatever, get the knife to cover all the goggles, whatever, and just dispose of them. And that was his job. And somebody else did the crime. But that's far fetched. You know, that's far fetched. Um, Testimonies that says law enforcement illegally accesses databases that they're not supposed to last August. Yeah, I think what was that lady's name? Vargas. She was talking about loopholes that are taken by DNA people that are looking for people's DNA. Sometimes they take loopholes. Susan says that crime scene was totally contaminated by the students who were there before the 911 call. In my opinion, you're right. Um, so think about that. If you have a crime scene DNA expert that's telling you that there's sometimes they take loopholes in order to find the perpetrator. Is that what they did in this case? Why would she say that? You know, who knows? And that crime scene was contaminated, but you know, unless they touched or moved, it was not contaminated to the point that they couldn't have got evidence from the crime scene. That's all I'm saying. Like earlier with the Jack in the Box bag. If they moved that bag, then that was a contamination that would never, that piece of evidence would not hold up in court. Let's say they did get DNA. I remember hearing early on that there was somebody that carried around DNA evidence in their car for like 10 days before they turned it over. Did they contaminate that evidence in the back seat of their car until they turned it over? I can't even remember the lady's name. But did they contaminate that for those 10 days? Yeah, I mean, she shouldn't have been on YouTube. I mean, she said they can access databases illegally. It doesn't say they did in this case. Yeah, Dawn Daniels, you're right, Heather. She supposedly carried DNA in her backseat for 10 days. And then they had that process. And those 10 days, with the temperature enough to break down the DNA, was it cold enough to um, mix up the DNA to a point where it was unreadable? I mean, I'm not a DNA expert, so I don't know much about it, you know? So just the fact that somebody would carry this around, it would make you wonder, what in the world were you thinking? Because there is a chain of custody form on every piece of evidence. You know, let me pull this up to show you what I'm about to talk about. And I hope y'all aren't too bored yet because we've gone over an hour. Um, if you want to keep going, press a 1. If you want to kind of wind it down, we'll press a 2. Because I want to show you some other things and explain some other things to you. But I don't want to bore y'all to death. What I'm about to talk about is this picture right here, and this picture right here describes how you document a crime evidence. You see this number right here, okay? This number is going to have this piece of evidence attached to it. So this number right here will always be attached to this evidence. So every time you look up number 4, it will be everything that you found in this area. They will have photographs, they will have video, they will have any kind of prints, any kind of DNA profile that they worked up on this paper, any kind of evidence that you can get off this paper will be addressed to number 4. The problem would be if somehow or another there was another piece of evidence above number 4 and that became number 5, and somehow number 5 and number 4 got interjected together. That would be the contamination. That would be the contamination. So when you're processing a crime scene, you have to be very thorough on how you document this. There's a chain of custody form. And let me see if I can pull another thing up while I'm at this. Good Lord, I just pulled something up and it just totally grossed me out. I'll definitely get banned off YouTube if I show these. Let me go back and good Lord. It cracks me up when you type something into Google and it just takes you somewhere else. And you're like, whoa, I didn't want to see that. So I'm going to try to get one of these to show. Okay. got it. So let me stop sharing that one so y'all understand the process of tagging and bagging, right? So let me show you this portion right here. Based on them finding the bodies, okay? Them finding the bodies, they would have had to fill out one of these forms. And I have another video on my library that defines this a little more clearly. But it would, before they're even autopsies, they would have all this filled out. They would show the front where the wounds were, the back where the wounds were. They would go into detail, whether it be the head, the upper exterior, the trunk, the sacrum, lower exterior, the ankle. And it would actually show a lot of information that would be usable upon the autopsy. And there's some of the ones that I was talking about. But if you can kind of keep your eyes over here, let me see if I can get some of these. So a lot of these are basically just wound care and things of that nature, but there's a form that shows exactly how the wounds were processed, what they were seen, how deep the cuts were, that things of that nature. So it's able to show you it's able to show you exactly what type of wounds and discoloration, blood drainage, things of that nature occurred on each of the bodies. Welcome to our chat. I swear at the early stages of the investigation, I saw a picture of a bloody handprint on the wall of the stairwell that dragged his hand down the wall and left through the front door. That would be an amazing picture to have. He said, I looked everywhere for the picture and it was quickly scrubbed from the internet. You know, that's part of the targeted that they were talking about as well. I heard early on that some things were written on the wall in blood that made them believe that this is what made it targeted. And Sarah said the idea he was running naked and barefoot is ludicrous. Modern people are not acclimated to that kind of activities. We freeze even in clothing. I can dig that. Like I said, we agree to disagree in here, so everybody's thoughts are valid. Even if you can't agree on that, I mean, I, as the host, we agree to disagree, and I appreciate your thought. What's up, Jeremiah? Long time no see, brother. Long time no see. So I thought this shot was interesting too. It was a shot of Brian's doorway. It's 201. There's something I want to talk to you guys about that I had a discussion with some people, and I want to know y'all's thoughts on this. Okay, the shower curtain. There was a lot of individuals. There's a lot of individuals that made a big deal about the shower curtain. Give me your thoughts on whether he just took the shower curtain because it was the end of the semester, in your opinion, or was the shower curtain used? What do you think about that? Give me some thoughts. By the way, If y'all like the presentation so far, be sure to hit the like button. And thank you, new faces that are in the chat. Thank you for being here. I enjoy new faces coming up in here and giving us some thoughts. Susan says, but we're on the frat boys modern. Have you heard about the hazing and rush week? Yes, I have. In my opinion, he might not have even put one up. He could have just like Moth's bath, or it could have been no shower curtain in the bathroom. That's meant for that second bathroom was locked because there was only one tenant in the apartment. Very true. I guess the question I'm asking is, do you believe that he took the shower curtain to drape in his trunk to possibly assist with the, the gathering of evidence, like, to keep the DNA, the blood, all that stuff from dripping on his car? Do you think he could have used that for that situation? I just believe that, being a former college student, we get those cheap shower liners and those cheap shower curtains, and by the end of the semester, those things have already busted out of the rings. They're they're not any good, and since they were so cheap, we just gather them, throw them away, get another cheap pair for the next semester. Does that sound pretty adequate? Those of you that have lived in dorms and off-campus housing, you live as cheaply as possible. Sarah, I agree with you. There has been a lot of things said and videoed at the beginning that now have disappeared. I still have a very hard time that he even did this. Susan, just for the sake of discussion, okay? Not that I'm attacking you or anything else, so don't take it that way. Um, what makes you have a hard time that he even did this? Can you give me some insight on that so I can maybe get your perspective on this? Jeremiah says, what makes you think he used his shower curtain? I really don't. I was just saying that I've heard other people in other panels and chats talk about that he could have used his shower curtain as a way to line either his seats or his trunk where he carried all the stuff. And that's what I've heard. I'm not saying he did that. I said that he probably got a cheap set. By the end of the semester, that thing's falling apart. They're not holding in the rings, and you're frustrated. And you're like, man, I'm not putting up with this. Next semester, tear it down, grab you a new set when the semester starts. Just leave it, throw that in the trash, and move on. That's what I thought about the shower curtain. But a lot of people, when they find out that the shower curtain was missing, they instantly started speculating and putting things together in their mind that would have nefariously meant that he did something with that shower curtain. Susan says, first time he lived away from home. In my opinion, he had no clue what he's going to need. And you said not enough evidence. Well, a lot of the evidence that they do have has been dispelled along the way, so there's a chance that you could be right. If he was involved, I can't believe he was alone, just my opinion. And you're more than welcome to that. You're more than welcome to that. Who am I to argue with you about Guess who's back? Back again. I don't know what happened. What happened? I was talking and then it froze up and then it booted me. No, I didn't fall off the chair. That would have been epic, though. That would have been epic. Hey, yeah. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Jeff H. Yeah, that would have been epic, man. The StreamYard would have got that in slow mo. Be like, oh. That would have been epic. Very good one, Jeremiah. That would have been epic, bro. Yeah, I'm back, guys. I don't even know what I was saying, but oh, we are talking about if he was alone. You said if he was involved, I can't believe he was alone, just in my opinion. And we can stand behind that. We can stand behind that because, like I said, everything is really based on the way we think. Who am I to disagree with how you think? Don't want you hurt, but epic for sure. Yeah, exactly. You need a seatbelt on that chair. Yeah, that and some more cushion, man, because these chairs get hard after a couple of hours, talking. It just welcome, Jeff. How you been, buddy? So, you know, I had a picture of Brian up here and I had him up here for a reason. Um, I'd asked a lot of people and I ask a lot of questions, not because I'm trying to trick people into saying um what I want them to say or anything like that. I ask a lot of questions because I want to see how your mindset thinks. God, that sounded creepy just then. But I want to see how you think and feel about certain things that are shown to you. Kind of like in that picture, you saw Brian, and it obviously he was a right-handed person. He's a right-handed person. Do you believe that they will be able to tell what hand the perp was? Like what handed person, if he was right-handed, left-handed, based on the knife wounds? There's that picture again. Hope that don't get me booted again. I don't know. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. um, well, you guys be careful, Jeff. Susan says, but one thing that really blows my mind is AT on his other lawyer stated in open court that he is innocent. The defense lawyers don't do that. Shower curtain. I think maybe when his dad showed up, he said, that thing is disgusting. Get rid of it. We'll buy you a new one when you're at home. Yeah. I mean, what could be wrong with just thinking that way? How come it has to be involved in the crime? Like a Rorschach test. They'll probably try to call him ambidextrous. Good to see you. Good point, Paula. So think about that. Jeff and I had talked about the shower curtain a lot of times in one of our videos, and we even, we started making jokes about it because at one point you have to, hey Swamp Bros, you have to ask yourself, does this really make sense, or are we putting too much thought into it? And I think we came to the conclusion that it was just a dirty shower curtain, and he just took it down and got a new one for the next semester. I mean, that's the logic of it all. Those of you with kids that you go and visit in the dorms or maybe at their apartments or whatever, you look at their shower curtain and go, damn, y'all need to change these shower curtains. It's barely hanging on by 3 rings. How do you even shower without getting water all over the floor? You know what I mean? So I think that's just an innocent way to show that he possibly just took that shower curtain and disposed of it because he was done with it. He probably had. Because you know those cheap shower curtains, even if you get the expensive ones, you're in a rush some mornings, you step on it, you pull it off the ring or you tear it, and it's never the same. So you do that enough times, that thing's barely hanging on by three rings, and you're like, man, I'm sick of this damn shower curtain. I'm gonna get a new one, you know? Isn't that what normal people do, quote unquote? There's probably DNA in that apartment, Jeff, that they got to compare to other DNA. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that, like somebody just said, there was 30 days without a shower curtain. So 30 days he was gone from that apartment. Could there have been enough evidence to even gather? They said that one of the neighbors supposedly stated that he was up vacuuming late into the night. And I was thinking of that earlier when I was vacuuming my place. I was thinking, if I was vacuuming and I was trying to get my DNA off this carpet or any kind of fibers or anything, there's no way in hell you can be 100% getting everything off this carpet. Wouldn't you agree? Would it be difficult to get 100% of your stuff off the carpet, no matter if you vacuumed it 100 times a day? That vacuum is only it's gonna pick some up and it's gonna throw some somewhere else where you can't even see it. Would you guys in chat, would that be fair to say that you're vacuuming as you're not going to be able to get 100% of the stuff that you're trying to vacuum up? Some of it's being brought up into the vacuum, but some of it is just being microscopically thrown in other areas. I mean, I don't know how meticulous he was. You can usually tell by the way somebody dresses, by the way they're groomed. I mean, it looked in this photo like he's pretty meticulous at his stuff, but that doesn't mean anything. A photo capturing him writing a note to the teacher, doesn't really capture much. Let's see what Heather says. Considering they can collect DNA, that DNA from the air, I think you'll never collect everything as a vacuum. It wouldn't matter how many times he vacuumed. I agree. I agree. I don't see how it would all be possible to get it all. No. And think about the dust. I'm really in that mindset today because I did Sunday cleaning, so I'm in that mindset today. I cleaned the fans. Let's say there was fans in his bedroom. Would he be able to get every little piece and particle sucked into his fan blades or even in his air conditioning duct? And you can't tell me that they didn't do some extensive work in that air conditioning duct or even in the shower drain. You can't tell me that they didn't open that bad boy up and snake it and even get some stuff so they can get some kind of hairs or fibers or anything that may have been taken down the plumbing in the sink area, his kitchen sink. Anything that catches any kind of dust, hair particles, hair. Have you ever taken one of those I don't know what the name of it is, but you rub it over your clothes, lint rollers. That's what I would see them rubbing a lint roller over certain areas of the house to get certain particles that you can't see with the naked eye. And then you go and you put those under microscopes, you see if it's human hair, if it's, you know, dog hair, whether, we heard that a dog hair was found. Where did that dog hair? Did we ever learn whether it was a golden doodle or whether it was a chihuahua hair? I mean, what did we ever hear of any of that? No, we didn't. So you just don't know. And this is what I want the audience to understand is sometimes you got to ask those hard questions. You got to ask those questions to take you beyond the surface level, because if you're really dissecting a crime scene, you're going to tear it up. You're going to cut pieces of the carpet up. You're going to see if there's blood that's soaked through the carpet. Yeah. Y'all type a number one if you get agitated at lint rollers and comment on that if you have had any kind of funny lint roller experience. I want to kind of take a little comedic view on this because those things are aggravating. They're great. They're great, but they're aggravating sometimes. Anybody have any funny lint roller stories or agree with Susan on they never seem to get all the lint? We don't know if Brian had a washer and dryer in his house, in his apartment. Definitely, they would be looking into that washer and dryer for any kind of nefarious evidence. I think he managed to contain all the bloody DNA in either a tarp or a plastic bin. In his trunk, maybe he had a little blood on his face. But let's look a little deeper than the surface, Jeff. Let's look a little deeper because if we're talking about forensic DNA, we're talking about CSI. They're going to be looking for things that you can't see to the naked eye that could put Mr. Koberger in that house, or even if he brought any kind of lint from the location home. You get what I'm saying? Have you ever seen a forensic cleanup? They go very in depth. They even do soil samples. I heard that the boot print that I showed, that picture of the boot print, that they did soil samples based on the soil that was the boot print was in compared to the soil around his home. And they're trying to see if the soil, what kind of materials was in the soil, if it matched up to the soil that was found on the boot, if they found any soil in the boot, things of that nature, So it's very meticulous. It's very, very meticulous, and it takes time. So the things that we've been shown, the things that we've put our minds on, is very amazing to even see some of the things and hear some of the things that individuals are able to see with the naked eye. But think about all the things that we cannot see, like if there's any fibers that were dropped in the backyard. Jeff, are you a believer in the shower curtain theory? I finally found a lint roller that is actually good. Let me check what brand that is. Ouch. I'd be extremely aggravated if that happened to me. I think LA has vacuums and also special tape that they use to collect these things like hairs and carpet in other areas. Yes, indeed. Scotch Bright make the best lint roller. Chemical to show up on it too. Yeah, I think getting the sheets off the last sheet is the most aggravating because you could get the dirty sheet off and the next thing you know you're ripping more than you need or it gets caught in the other stuff. um Let me show you some other pictures of what I'm talking about here. Okay. I just mentioned the boot print, okay? And I've talked about that in another live. So if you've heard it before, hang with me here. But I wanted to put this up here for no other reason than to show the dirt around the shoe print. I heard that they have soil forensic that's able to identify the different layers of soil around this print. And if there was any traces of that on the boot that they found in his trunk, that could tie him into that area. And once again, I'm not saying he's guilty, okay? I'm not even saying he's the one. But if he is the one, there's very intricate areas of evidence that could get this individual caught, whoever it was. Look, here's a number 3. So this was a number 3. The little rolled up piece of paper with the number 4. So they found this evidence in sequence. Okay, they found this evidence in sequence. Just like I showed you, they find the evidence, they tag it, they take a picture of it, they video it, they may take a cast on this area, they may, and look at the cast based on what it looks like. So if you can see this, I can't get it much bigger. Let's see, that's as big as I can get without it started being distorted. Does this look like a boot to you? Has anybody ever wore those worker boots? Could this be a boot? I mean, surely they wouldn't have tagged it if it would have been a boot that they wear. You know what I mean? And that's some of the stuff that is seen as well. They know the difference between, oh, so and so was here, so that's his boot. No, obviously they tagged it because there's nobody been in that area with that kind of boot on. Yeah, just like there's different pollen specialists and grass specialists and stuff for other types of points that are found. Water had different diomes, I think they're called. Very good, Heather. I never heard of the water part. Thank you. It's our opinions and speculations. We really have to go on. Social media will probably come out with more information. MPD could be a sneaker print. It looks like a boot. Heavy tread marks. I thought that too, Jeremiah. I really did because of this right here on the outside. This is where the boot tends to have a lot more of the gripping when you're wearing it, and the inside portion right here. And one thing that I noticed was this, and I spoke on this on the last one, but I'm going to say it again. Notice how this individual, if you're looking at this, if there would have been deeper crevices toward the front, this individual walks with his toes. Since there's heavier crevices in the back, that tells you that this individual walks from heel to toe, not toe to heel. Does that make sense? Because look how deep that rut is. That means that there's more weight placed upon the back portion of the heel than is in the front. And I think that's very, very interesting to say the least. Yeah, could be hiking boots. His wintertime could be a boot. Interesting point. And I thought that myself because, like, I played sports all my life, and we're constantly taught stay on the heels of our toes. So anytime that I walk, I notice that I go toe to heel, not heel to toe. So this portion walks heavy on the back of their heel and rolls their toe. And people are going to doubt me. They're going to say I'm full of crap or whatever, but that's just my impression of what this is, And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. What do y'all think, guys? What do y'all think? as far as that theory? Do you think that this individual could potentially walk from heel to toe? A heavier walker? Swamp, are you still here? You want to give your insight on that? Do you think that that could potentially be a part of this? Boy, I apologize to those of you who tuned into the live a couple nights ago. Um, when I jumped up from the nap and I instantly went to the live, boy, I was out of it. I was out of it. And I was looking at the live and I was like, man, I sound like I'm drunk, like I'm hungover, something. I could not get my thoughts clear for nothing. And then I finally woke up and you could tell the difference, you know. And Goff says it depends on the soil. If the soil is softer in the spot in one spot and harder in another, it's hard to determine. Very true. Very true. But that was just my impression of that. And I'm going to show you guys one more thing, and then I'm going to kind of sign off. I know we're enjoying this, but for anybody else who wants to see this from the beginning on, they're not going to want to watch 2 and 3 hour streams. I can always come back and do more on this. But I want to show you something that I wanted to show you guys the other night when I was I'm talking about half asleep. I want to show you about the tire impressions, and I want to show you about boot impressions and how they gather evidence, because I believe this is a very interesting concept. So let me stop sharing that and go to this other one. Are y'all still with me here? Y'all enjoying it? Put some number 1 if you're enjoying it. Hit a like if you're enjoying this. That print is from behind the couch. Okay, Miss My Keys, very good eye. Yes, better weather. Yes, glad you're doing well, Golf. Let me show you this a little bit, how it's done. Footwear and track examination. I wish there was a way I could take myself off the stage and just go with make this bigger and make myself smaller. No, that's not doing it. So we'll go with the full screen. Oh, there it went. I took myself out. Very good. That'd be awesome. Could you email that to me if you want? My email's 12 gauge 41. It's on my channel. It's on my channel. So if you want to do that, let's go ahead and it's playing right now. So I'm not hearing myself. So that's awesome. It says that evidence that may be examined. Footwear and tire track can be deposited on almost any surface, from paper to human body. Prints are divided into 3 types: visible, plastic, and latent. A visible print is a transfer of material from the shoe or tire to the surface. This type can be seen by the naked eye without additional aids. For example, bloody shoe prints left on the flooring or tracks left by muddy tires on a driveway. Let me pause this so I don't go faster than it is. So as you can see right here, it says a bloody shoe print are visible on the flooring. So this would be a visible print. A plastic print is a 3-dimensional impression left on a soft surface. This includes shoe or tire tracks left in the sand, mud, or snow. So as you can see this is a plastic print. That's what they call this. And you can see that it's left in the sand right there. And even in this, you can tell that it's heavier in the front than it is in the back. So if we're going to go with Goff's theory, then, maybe the back of it's harder than it's softer in the front. But definitely it would mean to me that there would have to be more weight in order to make that kind of impression. So let's go with the next portion. It says a latent print is one that is not readily visible to the naked eye. This type is created through static charges between the sole or the thread of the surface and the surface. Examiners or investigators use powders, chemicals, or alternate light sources to find these prints. Examples include shoe prints didacted on a tile or a hardwood floor, windowsill, or metal container, or tire tracks didacted on road surface, driveways, or sidewalks. So there's a latent shoe print right there. So if you dust powder on it, you're going to be able to see. How samples are collected. Examiners use several methods for collecting footwear and to track evidence depending on the type of impression found. For impressions in soil, snow, or other soft surfaces, casting is the most commonly used collection method. For imprints, examiners generally try to collect the entire object containing the imprint, such as a whole sheet of paper or a cardboard with the shoe print. The examiner would use a lifting technique to transfer the imprint to the medium that can be sent to the laboratory. So as you can see here, that boot print or that shoe print that was seen, they casted it and they lifted it, and this is what you get. So I wanted to show you guys this. So if you go into my library, it's called IDAHO4, The Tires Are Missing Piece. And it will tell you a lot of information as far as what we've been talking about today. I hope you go and check it out because it's very informative and it's 2 hours long. So I don't want to be doing a 4 hour stream based on something that I already did. Golf says, I'm sure they can still determine the weight if they're aware of the soil composites. Yes, indeed. Okay. She says, means someone tried cleaning it up. Well, latent means that whatever made the print, let's say that the print found outside her door, it means that the individual could have stepped in blood, urine, um, cleaner, something that, let's say that there was water spilt on the floor, maybe from all the scuffle or whatever, maybe a drink was spilt, he stepped in it, it stayed on his boot, he walked and made those latent shoe prints. You couldn't see it to the naked eye, but once you put powder or some sort of lifter that gave more insight on the print, you could see it. So it's protein based, So well, maybe next week I'll go over that the tire one because I do go into the tire marks. I show the tire marks. I show them examining it. I go into the latent shoe print, this and that and the other. I'm just kind of getting a little tired right now. Usually 2 hours is what I can handle by myself. If I had somebody up here, talking about the same stuff, um, it would help a lot. But hopefully next week I will go more. We can go into that other video and we can discuss that. But Monday, I'd like y'all to all remember that Monday we're gonna do the narcissism, psychopath, sociopath, and we're gonna talk about the Eileen Warnos case, and Carla and myself are gonna discuss that, and we're gonna bounce back and forth the evidence and how to present that case based on the theories that we presented already. So be sure to join us. I think it's going to be probably um, maybe 3 Central time frame, and depending on how long that she can hang with me up here, it might be a longer one because the Eileen Warnos case is fairly long, and those topics do take a long time to decipher and present. So I'm glad you guys enjoy the content. Please tell people that that I do have a lot of breakdowns on the PCA evidence, and I try to present it in a visual form where you guys can actually see that this could possibly happen or this could possibly not happen. Because, like I stated earlier, I've never seen anybody stabbed. So, whenever I was hearing that 4 people were stabbed in that length of time frame, it didn't it didn't click up here that that could actually take place. Thursday is going to be another interesting hearing. I-85 killer, yes, in Florida. Her let me let me give you my email link, and this is for anybody. If y'all have any pictures or anything that you'd like me to present, or any evidence, pictures that you may have gotten that I haven't been able to find, you can email those to me. Just email those to me, and I'll try to get to that. Um, and here is my email address. And like I said, if you guys wanna go watch that video, it's 2 hours long, and it's talking about the tire impressions. It's talking about the shoe impression. That way, you guys get some kind of insight before I discuss it live, so that you have some kind of understanding of what I'm going to talk about. Yes, Susan, I'm looking forward to Cyray. So synonym for the word latent is dormant. Looking forward to Cyray. Yes, that will be awesome. Wide side pick. Yes, that would be awesome if you could get that to me. Me Too Golf. I watched his channel, and he said one case he told them it wouldn't be their advantage if he testified. So I feel he does. He'll show BK at the park. Well, I'm interested in you know finding out different information about this case that's been presented. You know, in these almost 2 years now that we've been talking about this, it's always good to hear different sides, different understandings and clarifications. That's why I'm going back into some of the earlier photos and trying to decipher whether that was real or whether that was found out later on it wasn't true. And I'm glad that you guys are in here, and this is the most people I've ever had in chat is 15. That is so awesome. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for, contributing to the live and your comments. Like I said, everybody's comment is valid, and we agree to disagree. So there's no animosity in this chat whatsoever. You're you're safe here, and you're able to discuss what it is that you feel your your take on the case is, because that's how we learn. That's how we learn, and that's how we get different insight on certain situations. Um, I try to give you my best impressions, you know, uh, on what knowledge I do have and analytical thinking, um, and try to give you the best insight of visual representation that I can give you. I wish I had more. I wish I had some of the information other channels do. Like there's some other channels that have some awesome, awesome body cams and pictures and this and that and the other, but they don't dive into what they're showing the audience. They're just showing the audience the picture or the body cam, and they're leaving the impression to the audience. Like, I'm thinking, man, if you could just dive in and take the audience into that body cam, that would be so awesome. There's some creators that have some awesome footage and things of that nature, but instead of using analytical or evidence based theory, they base it more on speculation, and they could do so much more with that evidence that they've uncovered. So if you look at that evidence on their pages or on their channels, try to use what you learn in here and dig a little deeper for yourself, because how else are you going to teach yourself for future cases than to use what you're learning in this one and some of the other ones, what's real and what's fiction. You get what I'm saying? Well, let me pull up this picture right now, and this will be the last thing that I show, and this will be the last thing we talk about for this evening anyways. And I'm almost done with another semester, so I should be graduating in June of 2025 with my bachelor's in criminal justice. Okay. Yeah, I got the pictures, Mikey. Thank you. Let's let's look at the first one first. So this marker was number 3. This was the boot print, right? There it is right there. You can see the boot print right here. Great eyeball, Mikey. I've seen this 100 times, but I never realized that that's what that was. And see, it's kind of deeper in there than it was in the front. Great shot. Thank you for sending that to me. And then you said that's back there by the couch, right? Yeah, I saw this one earlier. I was wondering what she was taking a picture of, but now I know. So she was taking a picture of the boot print. Yeah, I've seen this picture, but I didn't know that's what she was taking the picture of. And you notice even in that picture there's snow, but there's not melted. There's melted areas up here. So based on the hoodie that I showed earlier, it could be the same day that they found all that stuff. That's interesting. Because you notice snow right here, but there's no snow here. There's no snow up here. It's all melted. Great shot. And there's Maddie's pink boots. You know what I was looking for? And I emailed Olivia from the Chronicles of Olivia the other day because she had a video. And I don't know if y'all have this as well. And I will look at those other pictures here in a minute. Um, there's a dog bed on this balcony. And early on, there was a rumor that said that the dog was shaved. Well, in one of the videos of hers, I noticed that the very last shot she showed the balcony, and there was dog hair all in um, the dog bed because it stayed there forever, and it was on Kaylee's side of the balcony. There's a dog bed on that side, and there's a dog bed on this side. On Kaylee's side, there was dog hair all in the dog bed. So I've been looking for that photo, and I've been looking through her videos. If y'all know of that picture or y'all have seen that picture, let me know that I'm not crazy. Okay? Let me go ahead and get to the other pictures. And if y'all have even heard that rumor um that Murphy was shaved. That other one didn't send a picture, Mikey. It just sent these 3 right here that I showed you. So if you can maybe send that other one again. I didn't get that one. Um Check the next separate email. Send that one again because I didn't get that one. It just has an email, but it has no picture. Pitbull put Thomas tore up one of his dog beds, wants a brand new one. I was so mad with this love that came out of it. Looks exactly like what you see in that picture. Oh, so it could have been okay, I got you. But it looked just like fur, didn't it? The pink boots in the window is sad to me. Yeah, that is. Thought Riot Podcast covered the fluff seen on that deck. So it was out of the bed. Um, it wasn't fur. Okay, thank you for doing that. Yeah, telling me that because I remember seeing that. Okay, I'll go check it out, Mikey. Okay, now I got it. Yeah, that is a money shot right there. Thank you so much for sending that. That is perfect. As y'all can see, there's the couch. There's one of the ladies that's in a lot of the photos, and they're wearing, it can't be their boots because they're wearing booties. Even I think, yeah, she has booties on. She has booties on. There's a lot of booty in that picture. And there's the boot print. But I was wondering if there's any blood on these rocks. So that leads to wonder, Mikey, and the rest of you in chat, as we've been talking about, and I'll leave you with this to challenge your brain on. The couch was closest to the slider. Have we seen many people sitting on this couch? This individual, if he ran out this way, would have ran up this area. He wouldn't have ran toward the back. Let me put the 1122 King Road house picture up again. Mikey just showed in that picture, that wide shot, is this area right here. The rocks are right here. They found the boot print right here. The slider is literally right here. There's the couch right here. So this individual would have either ran or walked out around the couch, up this area to this area right here. It wouldn't have been toward the back as we've been told. And then guess where the hoodie was found? In that little glove looking thing right here. Just a little bit to ponder on. So if that car was parked anywhere right here, Dylan would have been able to see perfect. Would have been able to get a photo, a video of anything. And definitely she could have texted Bethany and said, hey, he's about to get in his car. Take a picture as he rounds the front. He takes off right here. Look, perfect angle. Like I said, speculation, but what do y'all think? What do y'all think? Jeremiah, booty, 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 rocking everywhere. Yes, exactly. Um, what do y'all think about that theory right there? I mean, that's not my theory, but based on what we just saw in those pictures, could that have made sense? Xana's window. Let me see if I can enlarge that. No, I can't. I can't get any more than that. But that window is right here. And if that's the trees where they found the hoodie and the little black glove thing that I was showing you, it's right outside her window. These are the rocks. This is where the boot print was found. That makes a lot more sense than he parked back here and went through this embankment, this slopey ass embankment, trying to get into the slider and back out. Because if you remember seeing some of the backyard pictures, there's like a little compost made of rocks right here, and it's a slope. You're trying to get out of that area as quick as possible. Let me show you again where that was found. So here's the hoodie that I was talking about at the very beginning. This was found toward the front of the house by where I was just saying. And here's a closer one. So I'll leave you with that. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Y'all think that makes sense? If you've enjoyed this, make sure to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome, Mikey. Send me anything that you'd like to send that you're okay, me presenting or whatever. And make sure you're in the chat, and that way I can give you credit for it, because I'm never going to take credit for anything that I haven't done. Okay. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this. It was a rather long one, but there was a lot of presentation in there. Like I said, there will be a different type of style on Monday. We'll be talking about Eileen Warnos. And then probably next week sometime I will get back on the tire tracks and the boot impressions and things of that nature. And I might even bring up some of these photos that I've gotten today to give some more clarity on what I'm presenting. So I would suggest that you use your analytical thinking as far as what we discussed today, and see if you can bring up a different theory, because the slope in the back of the house just doesn't make sense to me anymore. It doesn't make sense to me anymore, not like it used to. But I could be wrong, I don't know everything. But guys, thank you so much for being here. Keep coming back and keep showing up and let people know. This is a good place this good channel to come to. You know, y'all have a happy Memorial Day until I see you live again. Be be vigilant and take care of yourself out there. And if you have any storms coming your way, y'all be safe. Be safe. Prayers sent. Okay. Well, I'm gonna cue the music. All right. Y'all have a good one.